Good morning, my creative friends, and welcome to Painting in Your PJs with Minette. I am Dr. Minette Riordan. Super excited to be here with all of you. And you can see I've got a painting in process that I was working on before over the weekend and can't wait to get back to and loving where it's going and loving just having those bright colors behind me today. And when I think about the practice of gratitude, which is what we're focusing on this month, good morning, Jennifer, is really looking at all the different ways, all the different people, all the different ideas that come together, and how my mindset, my spirit, my attitude is elevated when I shift to an attitude of gratitude. So if you're just popping by and you're not familiar with me, Painting in Your PJs is all about using art as a practice, a process, a tool for personal growth, for self-discovery. And it's that inside out representation of who am I being in the moment and do I like who I'm being? I'm just off of a weekend with Jennifer and others teaching one of our mythical makeover experiences. This one was inspired by the Wizard of Oz. And it's always such a good reminder to look at ourselves through the lens of who has helped create this being. So our prompt today, and I printed out my pages and I think I left them on the printer, but our prompt today is about honoring elders and mentors in our lives. And I don't think we do that near enough. And myself and my audience, we're becoming the elders and the mentors. And yet when I reflect back across my life, I have deep gratitude for the men and women in my life who have helped me become who I am. My favorite professor, Dr. Bart Lewis, as an undergrad, my beloved grandmother and my favorite aunt, my doctoral advisor and mentor when I was at Stanford getting my PhD, not to mention the many, many women who have come into my life through the work that I do and that I have been able to really sit at the feet of some just inspiring women. My beloved friend, Elena Geltner, such an amazing mentor. Thank you. And so I want to create an intuitive collage in my gratitude journal today that really honors that aspect of the elder, that aspect of the wise woman. And especially as I move closer and closer to being that elder in my own life and my own family as the, older generation starts to transition, what does that mean for me to own that role, right? Of becoming the elder in my family. So lots of questions swirling this morning around this idea of how can I create something that's just going to honor not the individual people, but the aspect of that elder wise woman. And I am going to change my camera over here. You can see I have a big old mess happening on my desk because I was going through all kinds of images. I have so many images left from my October retreat that I'm having fun with. And I felt really drawn to fall colors today and also this beautiful set of images from a designer on Etsy with these illustrations of these different wise women. And I think the name of the pack was something like Medicine Woman, but the beauty of these faces just really speaks to me. And so I want to create something. I was feeling something kind of round, mandala shaped, right? As the idea of honoring. I'm loving watching this journal fill up, wishing I'd had even more time to play. So this week I will be live Tuesday, Thursday. I won't be live tomorrow. If I do, it might be later in the day. Actually, no, I won't be here tomorrow because I teach late. I'll be here Tuesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. And I was really drawn to this woman with the owl. So I'm just going to start kind of sorting images here and see where we get to. So tomorrow morning I have a lovely doctor's appointment. So with the dermatologist for just my annual checkup. It's this fall I've been really focused on self-care in the form of making sure I get all those appointments taken care of, right? Mammogram, annual primary care checkup. And I have been so busy, it's like hard to sometimes think about making the time for these. So I'm feeling, I pulled all these animals this morning, and so there's this sense of maybe wanting to, because I'm so drawn to animal wisdom and animal spirits. In fact, I'm doing a retreat in mid-May next year that is going to be an intuitive painting workshop working with our animal spirits. Super excited for that one. I have 3 retreats already on the schedule for the calendar. 2 of them are up on my website. I will be in Texas next year in April with my beautiful friend Leslie. I will be here in my studio in March. And then in mid-September, I will be in Oregon with the fabulous Emma Freeman at my friend Andrea's for a wonderful retreat. So lots of juicy in-person stuff coming next year that I'm really, really excited about. All right. So looking at this, loving these images, was kind of feeling like, so I'm going to focus here, so bear with me a minute. It's going to look a little funny, but I got to go back to the camera. That feels a little better. There we go. Not knowing if I wanted to add some paint to the page to maybe sort of create a container for this. And I need this one to be a little quick this morning because I have a call I have to be on at 8 o'clock. Really, I would rather just be here playing. I love this idea of a door. Whenever I'm doing this kind of intuitive work, I often have a lot of images that relate to doors and portals. And I think it's important to think about as we travel. We talked about this weekend. It's like, what is the threshold waiting to be crossed? What's the invitation here? And it's interesting because this feels a little bit secret garden with the hidden door, but this, kind of fall imagery. I also really liked her. And I find that in our society and in our community that we tend to, as we get older, as our careers shift and change, as our roles change, excuse me, to feel invisible, right? We don't always feel honored and celebrated. And yet we have so much wisdom to share. And I think one of the reasons that I love these particular images is because there's so many cultures around the world. And if you remember or didn't know, my background is in Latin American studies, history, and literature. And there is a reverence for their elders that is often missing in this country. I wonder if I have my little hole punch here somewhere. All right, not going to worry about it. So this is another one that's probably going to get started but not completed. But I'm curious if you're watching me live along with Jen, pop in and say good morning. I love these textury spider webs here. It feels like I want a little texture on the page. When you think about those elders and mentors in your life who are meaningful. Oh, look, when I turn this page over, I just pulled this page out. It's all about mother. Hark, my mother's voice I hear, sweet that voice is to my ear. ever soft it seems to tell, dearest child, I love thee well. So beautiful. I love that. So bringing in some of that mother energy. All right, I'm feeling like it's gonna, maybe I'm gonna get some matte medium out and I'm gonna do a nice collage background, and then over the top of that we'll bring in some of these images. Feels like some of this old paper also feels like that wisdom. So she feels like she needs to definitely stand out a little bit more, and maybe she's going to actually be standing here at the threshold. This might become somehow that central image. All right, I think what I'm feeling is definitely I need to glue some stuff down and make some decisions. What I'm wanting is all this beautiful wordy paper in the background, but maybe she's going to go here. I'm going to start with a glue stick, and then if I decide that I want to add any paint over the top of this, I would come back and add a layer of matte medium to the top. And I have to tell you, I have been having more fun using curated images in my collage from the ephemera that I have found on Etsy. It's been a really different way of creating. I love working with magazine images as well. Different feel, different intention, but these sort of curated themes and colors have added an element of depth that I have really appreciated in my collage over the last few months. I had never done that before, but when I was planning for, definitely need that mother magic in there. When I was planning for my October retreat, the Wisdom and Wonder retreat, which was a lot about connecting to our own inner wisdom, really seeing ourselves as the wise women in our own lives, I realized I wanted to really curate the images. And who knew that Etsy was such a treasure trove of imagery. So if you love collage and you love junk journal, I'm looking for my little hole punch. Can you hear me now, Jen? I think I leaned against my, yeah, I can see yeah, sorry about that. When I lean forward at my table, unfortunately, I have a bad habit of leaning into my microphone here, so I apologize that. Thank you for letting me know. So what I was saying was what I'm feeling for this collage is that texture, wanting to add texture, wanting to do some stitching onto the page to add some texture, honoring the women's work with their hands. How much my aunt, my favorite aunt who passed away last year, was a weaver and a quilter. And it's been a year since she passed away, and definitely still miss her. And so I'm thinking that there's going to be this richness and this depth to these layers, and that the layers represent the history, the wisdom, the love, the knowledge that gets shared and passed down. My grandmother, my mother, my favorite aunt, they were all amazing artists in their own right in different ways. I come by that creativity on both sides. My dad is also very creative in his work and in his life, made jewelry, super creative in the kitchen. All right, so it feels like there's this beautiful base layer starting to come together, feeling like this one's going to need a pocket, and I'm going to want to tuck some things into that pocket through these layers. Like it feels like there needs to be. And I would also say that my connection to that sort of ancestral wisdom is definitely, all right, we're just going to cover up that heart. This is that practice of just trusting and letting go. It's like, I don't want to cover that heart up, but I'm gonna. I know it's there. Something about that connection to nature, my grandmother and grandfather when he was alive, which he passed away when I was really young, so I don't have that many memories of him, but they had an amazing garden, which then my aunt sort of followed down the path in that garden. And so there were animals and birds, right, known and unknown, those female family members, those ancestors known and unknown. My mom was really into history and genealogy, so there's some great stories of pioneering women who traveled from the southeastern United States by wagon on their own to Texas. That's how our family ended up in Texas. And there is an honoring and a celebration. My husband found in his genealogy work that one of my ancestors married a Native American woman in Virginia. So it's in my past, way back, and how can I bring that connection, knowledge, and wisdom forward? I pulled out this piece because there's something here also about this, the color palette that has that aged look, which I think is something that I'm feeling drawn to this morning when we are thinking about our ancestors, right? There's that sense of how they're part of me, certainly part of who I am. Okay, so loving where this is going and feeling like all of this is going to get pushed back and we're going to bring back our central figure. So I'm actually going to take some gesso. Do I want gesso or maybe just some white acrylic paint? And a nice big brush. And I'm going to push all of this back. Actually, I have a brayer here, so let's start with a brayer. So if you're watching me and you're like, oh, I can't believe she just covered that up, don't worry. I know it's there, right? This is about, again, I'm honoring ancestors. I'm honoring the threads, the intention. And so I'm just planting all of those ideas, memories, and connections down on the page. This is going to kind of seal it in quite a bit. And then I'm going to push it, I'm going to take a baby wipe and soften that up even a little bit more. I don't want to completely lose what is happening here on the page. And I'm probably going to wish that I had come in here with some matte medium and make this process a little bit easier. So if you cover your images first with matte medium, you can always push back to that matte medium layer. It really seals things in. And I'm just going to be okay with my process this morning. I knew I needed to bring some paint in. So all of a sudden now I have this very dreamy layer, right? I have this very dreamy layer that feels warm and lovely. It's so funny because look, here's the word dreamy and the word dreamer. And some of my memories of the past are very dreamy, right? They have that, especially when I think about my beloved grandmother who had a talent for making every one of her 13 grandchildren feel like we were her favorites. So there's a dreaminess to the memories. All right. I have all these fun animals that are just feeling like they want to be a part of the story. So I'm going to just cut some things out, and while I'm cutting, there's something about fussy cutting and just sort of letting these sort of fall to the surface here that are going to create something I can't even anticipate at the moment, right? Like, how often do the words of one of your favorite mentors come back to you? And this, I think, is designed to be a sweet little pocket here, and maybe even a pocket that tips in because both sides are really pretty. But like I said this morning, I pulled out all these different animal images. All right, I have way too much on my desk. So raccoon is one of the animals that's been sort of showing up all around me lately, and I pay attention. We were driving home the other night when I went to pick my husband up at the shuttle, and came home and watched a big fat raccoon crawling into a storm drain on the side of the road. And I think one of the ways that I stay connected to my ancestors is by staying connected to nature, to that collective wisdom. And it was definitely my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, my stepdad, all really helped me to have that deep connection to nature. And I'm also leaning into learning more about plants and herbs, which also feels connecting to wisdom, relying. Let's see, actually, we're going to cut this out. So where can I tap in even more? To those gifts, especially my grandmother and my aunt, and actually my dad is an amazing gardener as well, but they had this, connection to Earth's wisdom, Earth's bounty. Not sure where that's going to go. Maybe it's dreamer instead of dreamy. I don't know. Okay, those two little critters are making me happy. Trying to decide if I want to bring some birds back. So the theme that definitely seems to be emerging is that connection to nature, and how that connection to nature keeps me connected to the ancestors, right? The ones, like Jen said, the ones known and the ones unknown. I'm so glad, Jennifer. That makes me happy to hear. You don't need fancy images. Fancy is often the thing that gets us stuck because then we're in the, playing with the fancy things. And what happens when we're caught up in the fancy is then we don't want to use it, right? Then we think, oh, it's got to be perfect or I'm going to waste it. And so sometimes I think it can be really important. Like that's why I love kids' books, the simplicity of the images. Okay, so coming back over here to our portal image and our bear. Right, those precious supplies. Okay, this one I love, but it's not quite the right color palette. That may not make it on. I'm thinking I'm going to tear that one. Feels like the bear just fits right there on that portal. And maybe this is going to move down here. I'm attached to the image of this woman here. I'm feeling like I definitely don't want to cover her up. I can see where I start to get attached, right? And our ancestors would be the first ones to tell us not to be attached. Okay, dreamy needs to go on here somewhere for sure. I think this cute little raccoon is going to get hole punched and maybe tied on here or glued onto a little tag so he can kind of maybe move around the story a little bit. But she is kind of I'm wondering if I might want to print her out a little bit bigger to honor her a little bit more. Or maybe even, is she going to go behind this portal image? So when I lift this up, she's there waiting so that I remember that she is always there. Okay, that candle needs to get glued on. And she's got her wise owl with her. I've been so obsessed with owls lately. Between painting owls, I bought a beautiful little owl statue for my altar. And I can connect to her through dreams, through guided meditations. They're not gone, they're still a part of us. Both the collective ancestral wisdom as well as my own family's wisdom. Okay, trying to decide how. Yeah, it definitely feels like she wants to be behind this portal. And we've got this nice little protector bear magic happening. He's kind of curiously looking on. All right, I'm just at this moment trusting where I'm going here. And sometimes when I'm working with intuitive collage, I really have no idea why I'm putting an image where I'm putting it, and I don't need to know in the moment. So I think part of this is to remember that this can all change, evolve, emerge. And I'm wondering if, nope, it doesn't want to go there. It definitely wants to go on this page. Definitely needs a little more color over it, but it has that spider webby, dreamy feel that feels like part of the story. So again, getting comfortable covering things up. So I think I might just later on run that through my sewing machine and stitch this on. So this fun textured stuff I got on Amazon in a whole bunch of different colors. Oh, maybe this is all part of the same. It's all going to be like a big portal here. Interesting. Like there's something sort of, there's a curiosity and a depth and a little bit of, hey, you haven't visited there in a while. Look at those cobwebs. Interesting story that is emerging here. So I need to decide which part is going to flip open. Is it just the door itself, and the rest is going to get glued down? Yeah, it feels pretty good. And this one's going to come in on this side here, as if there's just some support and a little bit of mystery. And then I get to decide what's going to go around the edges of it all. Maybe nothing. Maybe some more color. I'm feeling like maybe I want to pull this blue out and add some blue around the edges of this. I've been going through so many glue sticks lately. Oh, maybe this is sort of coming up out of the top there. Oops. Maybe way up there. Let it hang just out over the top of the page. Definitely at the end of this glue stick. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue this on for now. May add some stitching later. So it feels like an invitation to dream and to connect with that ancestor again. And I love that, I can still see a bit of her, still see mother back here. I've got the dreamer going into this dreamy landscape here. I might want to cover that up with something different. Okay, but it still feels like, oh, there's that pop of blue I was looking for. And our little birdies, bring these little birdies back. So I've got mother, I've got grandmother energy, I've got the weaver, right? Spider is often a connection to that grandmother weaving energy. I have that connection to plants and wisdom. So this is feeling like a lovely connection to my ancestors here. And I don't know why this little dude wants to come and hang out. I'm going to have to look up the meaning. And definitely, I'm not going to stick him down. So he wants to get hole punched and have some ribbon. And maybe this is going to be a little tip in here so he's not quite so attached to the page. Maybe a few more of these growing things. And just do a little fussy cutting. On Thursday, I'm going to work on the prompt that is all about celebrating and expressing gratitude for community. I am so grateful to be part of and lead a variety of communities. Oh, is that going on you? No, it wants to go on the page here. And I think about all the different communities I've been lucky to be a part of over the years and about how important community has always been to me. I have always been someone who built community. All right, you little cutie pie. Yep, you're going to sneak in there somewhere, aren't you? Don't know where. Maybe he's just going to be a little floating bookmark in the journal. There's something, I think this represents me and my inner child, right? And that sort of mischievous, curious, we've got some mama bear protection energy, but this little raccoon is that part of me that wants to play and explore and get into things and is very, very curious and also protected by all of the grandmothers and the ancestors. All right, killed another glue stick. Okay, it's definitely feeling like it wants just a little more color around the background to kind of pop things out a little bit. I've got an old fluorescent blue paint here. I don't know if this is even still active, but it's really transparent. And I think maybe it's just going to give me that little bit of something on there that, like the white, this will just kind of come in here and it'll help those images in the front really stand out a little bit more. And then again, make sure that background is just cohesive. And it even feels like you want some of that blue on you. That'll just make you fit in a little better. One of the things I love about working with fluorescent colors is their transparency. And I love this fluorescent blue from Nova Color Paints. It's not day glow bright like some other fluorescents, but it does have that real sense of translucency that feels really dreamy. And if I want a little more opacity, just takes a couple of layers. But I don't. I just want to pull the page together, right? It felt like the page was unfinished until I added that. And now there's a sense of completeness on the page that feels really, really juicy this morning. All right, you curious little dude. So think I'm going to find a tag. I will glue him to a tag, hole punch and stick some ribbon on him so that he feels like he's part of the story, but he definitely wants to move. I've been talking about this more and more in my collage work. It's like the idea of a paper doll, but it's this idea that the images can move and they become different parts of the story. So I'm super curious if we come back over here to this story, which isn't quite complete yet. But this was this gratitude for my spiritual practice and my connection to the divine, right? And it feels like there's lots of portals and thresholds. We got this bunny, but again, what happens all of a sudden she becomes a little queen there with her little butterfly crown? Or what if she is sort of there's curiosity here and curiosity here, so they hold kind of the space for wonder and curiosity, very similar to this little child energy. It's actually really fun right there on that one. um, we have this fun, I forgot we had all this yummy stuff underneath here as well. I need to come back in and finish up this page and get all these pieces, but nothing wants to get stuck down. It's such a fascinating process to really trust. Oh, those two look like partners in crime, but to really let things rest until you're certain where they want to go. So even coming back over here to my heart with wings, grateful for my heart and the journey that I've been on. What happens when I put the little raccoon there in the center? Or what happens when I bring in another ancestor image and put that in the center? So one of the reasons I love making envelopes inside my handmade journals is because we can create all these little individual parts that can move around, and the story shifts and change, new things emerge as we continue to explore and play. And this blank page over here is going to be a great space to do some journaling about my connection to my ancestors. Are you wanting to be part of the story? Let's see. A little fussy cutting. And she's holding, it looks like she's holding a series of dream catchers and feathers. So again, that dreamer, that magical, oh, it's almost like she's inviting me to go within. And do you go over here? Are you part of the door? Gosh, it feels like she's part of the door. Okay, I love how these things just continue to evolve, right? That I never consider my intuitive collage work to be complete. It always feels like magic in progress, and the story grows and unfolds. I also still really love this page, so I'm wondering if maybe my journaling is going to go on the back of this, and this is going to get, sort of safely tucked over here with the raccoon. Not sure yet, but pretty happy with this simple page representing ancestors, known and unknown. Thank you, Jen, for that language. And there's a depth and a richness and a curiosity and an invitation to reconnect to the mystery and to the magic, and that deeper connection to the wisdom of nature as well. Oh, look at that. And it says everyday magic. And I think what I think about my grandmother and my aunt, especially my aunt, really was someone who talked a lot about everyday magic. And to me, to her granddaughters, right, that there's how can connecting with our mentors and our ancestors and our elders remind us to stay connected to everyday magic. That feels like a nice finishing touch on there. Okay, that one came together pretty quickly. And thank you, Jen. It is pretty, and yet what matters here to me less than the pretty is that depth of meaning, knowing how many layers of knowledge are underneath the collage, right? And how I built this up to this place. And there's always this idea of just inviting more depth, right? Of inviting more depth and richness into my life. Somehow this feels a little bit maybe like some of those beautiful roots as well. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. That's it for today. Off to get ready for the rest of my day. Appreciate each and every one of you being here with me live or catching the replay. And I hope you'll make a collage today about what matters to you the most when it comes to expressing gratitude for elders, ancestors, and mentors. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I'll be back on Thursday morning, same time, same place.